Welcome back. Zamasele is an art historian and Zoleka Filander Palmer, an offshore benthic ecologist. They are both leading women in their fields where they are up against great odds in environments that are probably not as welcoming. Congratulations to both of them for making it onto this list. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Let me start with the fact that you are up against incredible odds in environments that are very challenging because for you, you are an art historian.
Yes.
There aren't a lot of female scholars in this space as it is.
Not at all, especially black ones.
Yes.
Yes.
And then when we look at your work as well, it has to do, you are a diver, for instance, you've led a research team, and we also don't find many leading black women in this space. You work within the Department of Environmental Affairs. Yeah. So would you say that you've both have had to work twice as hard to prove that you are half as good?
Most certainly, but I think mine actually, my working hard goes further back.
Yeah.
In the sense that it's been a journey that nobody in my family understands or understood. It has earned my being disowned by my grandparents at second year and having to work several jobs just to get myself through varsity at undergrad level. So science has not been that welcoming to me in the sense that even when I got to an honors level, there was a lot of, you can't do this. Why are you exploring such a foreign medium? And then moving to master's level, it was more, you can't do this, nobody has done this before. So from my side, it was just really trying to show everybody else that I can and I will. And I most certainly did. Got the job at the Department of Environmental Affairs. And in a year of getting the job, okay, I guess when I started, I didn't know anything, right? I had never been to sea. I had never seen any of these pieces of equipment. And there I was having to start from fresh, and I had a year. And I soon realized that in that year, I need to advance myself, which I did. So yeah, it's been a constant journey of being told that you can't do it. And even when you do it, there is no acknowledgement or recognition.
Right.
Yeah.
My heart goes out. Like I can just feel every single step that you've had to take filled with obstacles.
Yeah.
So this nomination must be very affirming.
Yes. Yes, it has been and it is. And it came at a time where I was actually ready to give up. When you always in a space where there's so much negativity, in a space where no matter how hard you try, no matter how many hours you put in, you just never get anything in return. But it's also a space where I realized the significance of being, you know, in a quite dominated, white-dominated, particularly male-dominated field. I wanted to stay in that space because I knew that I needed to pave the way for the next black female offshore scientist. And that's what I always say when I do my outreach events, when I speak to kids. And I'm like, I'm waiting for you. Come, I'm waiting for you. You can do it.
The path is laid.
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah. So, but it's been rewarding.
I can imagine,
so
and we'll talk
ways.
about that because you've worked in rural communities. You are talking to policymakers, making sure that their voice is heard. But Zamasele, when we look at the voice of women in not only reflecting on our history, but in producing work, it's often unheard, it's often neglected. Is this one of the passion areas for you?
Yes, it is, particularly the voices of black women in education, or particularly in academia, where even students that I teach, they never think that black women are producers of knowledge or makers of knowledge. And so to be present in that space, to articulate part of my lived experiences and integrating them into my writing and my research, I think it's very positive in many ways, particularly for young black women, because most of them do not see themselves in these spaces, particularly at a professorial level. Not that I'm a professor yet. However, I mean, there's very few instances where interact with black female professors. They may have a high visibility in the public, but in the everyday spaces of academia, black female professors do not have that kind of visibility. I've certainly never been taught by one. And I know that it would have been really affirming to get, to have that image in front of me right at the beginning.
Because there is power in representation. There is a lot of power in believing that you can as well. So we've heard from Zoleka from the science perspective, but now there's also a lot of debates often that the arts have to defend themselves constantly about their place and value in society. So you have found a way to tackle present-day issues that we're wrestling with as a country and linking them to narratives within the art space.
Yeah, it takes a lot of thinking outside of the box in order to be able to link art into everyday practice or everyday thought, because we always have to defend ourselves, well, from critics who always say, well, that is not really art. You know, there's always this pervasive question about what is art. Art is in the everyday. Art is in every image. Certainly, art historians are there to make knowledge about images, to make knowledge about so-called art and everything that is pretty much around it, around us. I mean, and so it remains one of those pervading questions around what is the role of art, and the role of art is to allow people to tell their stories, to tell their narratives, and to affirm their inner worlds.
So I want to come back to you, Zoleka, because you've worked with rural communities whose voices are often invisible, rendered invisible in public discourse, and you are taking this all the way to policymakers. What have the challenges been as far as being heard is concerned?
Firstly, I think to just contextualize what I do, I basically...
we do have limited time.
Okay,
so
all right, yes, I'll be quick. But I collect baseline information, information that is supposed to sort of advise policy. And in the past, there has not really been any sort of engagement with communities. A lot of areas are demarcated as MPAs, which are Krugers of the ocean, without them really knowing what that means or what it is. So I have been working very closely with several communities, and I guess from my side is knowing their struggles, knowing their challenges, what they understand, what they don't, and trying to actually make sure that out of these areas something is given back to them. And
I hope that you make it all the way, that the policymakers hear your voice and their voice as well. Thank you, ladies. You are truly a source of inspiration. Thank you very much. Well, 4 decades after young people took to the streets of Soweto and other parts of South Africa to fight against an unjust education system, more than 2 decades after democracy, what prospects do young people have? Well, it is clear that even with all of this happening in this country of ours, that there has been a rich crop of talent and skill that is laying a fertile and rich future for South Africa. Congratulations to all the top 200 young South Africans, as acknowledged by the Mail and Guardian, and may we all continue to support and make noise about every single young person we come across who is making a valuable difference. From me, Azania Musaka, and the rest of the Real Talk team, we'll see you again tomorrow at 6 p.m. Good night.